Hi everyone, I hope you guys are well. And in case you are not, then you will be well in this next 30 seconds because I'm sitting with a guy who is called as like what voice of the Nepal or maybe emotion of the Nepal. Let's introduce Andrew Leonard.
Farouk, great to be with you. Thanks so much. And yeah, looking forward to having a chat with you, mate.
Thank you so much. First of all, I had no clue that we'll be sitting here and talking to you, but thank you so much. I just pinged him on Instagram and he's like, let's do it, mate. So thank you so much.
Yeah, for absolute pleasure. Really, really great to chat to another cricket lover always, and great to hear your story and your journey in our great sport.
Thank you. So before starting this, I would want you to sign this ball for me.
No problem.
So that I
What
can.
are you going to do with this one then?
I'll keep this. I'll keep this with me. I'll get a the glass box. I'll keep it in
There you go.
so that it stays with me as long as possible, as long as I can keep.
J. Leonard. You can give it out to a kid as well. There's another play.
No. I'm gonna keep it with me.
That's a deal. That's a deal.
I'm gonna keep it with me. So this is Andrew Leonard. Thank you so much. I'm gonna keep it here so that it stays on the camera throughout the time.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Yeah.
Oh, so first of all, this Afghanistan series.
Yeah, look, obviously disappointing. We're filming this on the morning of day 3. Play has already been abandoned, not just for today, but for also the first 2 days. We're yet to bowl a ball. With the scale of rain we've had here, I'm an optimist, I'm a glass half full kind of guy, but if I was guessing, I don't think we're going to see a ball bowled across all 5 days. The amount of rain there's been it's been catastrophic, really. I think quite unheralded as well for this time of year. Just feel desperately sorry for all involved because I know how hard the ACB had worked to put on, and what an opportunity for them to play a test match against New Zealand. And from chatting to the New Zealand players, they were so excited to play against them, and it would have been great preparation for their 3 matches that are coming up against India. But yeah, a week to forget here, sadly, in Greater Noida.
Okay, since like we all know that it was supposed to go till Friday, but as rain is about to abandon the play, it's not yet official as we are shooting right now. So, what's your plan after this?
After this, so yeah, I'm straight to. Well, actually, I can give you a little exclusive. It'll probably be announced this afternoon. Okay. I'm flying straight to Toronto, which we're really looking forward to. Going to be 12 games there. The return for Nepal to international men's cricket for the first time since that T20 World Cup. I'm so excited, being honest. It almost feels like part of your life is missing when Nepal aren't in international action and they play so much. There's usually only have a couple of weeks to wait, but this has been best part of 3 months now. So the first game, 16th September, King City, up in just kind of about an hour away from Toronto. I think Cricket Canada have done a really good job in terms of putting in quite a good infrastructure there. They're expecting, I think there's about 100,000 or 150,000 people of Nepalese origin in and around Ontario. Okay. So we're expecting quite big crowds. And in terms of how competitive Cricket World Cup League 2 is going to be in this cycle, with the Netherlands dropping back down and Canada coming up, and Nepal not having had a great start, being honest, in February, only winning 1 from 4 on home soil, this series is so important. They don't want to get themselves into a position like they were in last time where they have to come from behind with that miracle of 2023. So hugely important games, and being honest, Canada are struggling a bit since Pupadu Dasanayake has been, I suppose, he's no longer the head coach for Canada, and for Oman, I think they've got a real battle too. And the whisper I'm hearing, again, another little exclusive for you, the whisper I'm hearing is that Pupadu Dasanayake may be involved with Oman in some coaching capacity in this series, just to add another little bit of spice to it. So much to look forward to. 6 ODIs with a day off in between each, 16th to 26th September. Then we'll have a day off, and then 6 T20s in 6 days. So yeah, going to be broadcasting all of those, and cannot wait to be back covering Nepal cricket.
Oh, definitely. So as you mentioned, Nepal cricket, definitely if I'm talking to Andrew and I don't talk about Nepal, I mean, it's not going to be justice to the audience. So as you mentioned about Nepal, and as we're moving towards the League 2, knowing that the cycle 1 was not very good for Nepal, how do you see this next cycle, especially for Nepal, knowing that Sandeep Lamichhane is in the team this time?
Yeah, look, I suppose the first cycle was a tale of 2 halves, wasn't it? It didn't start particularly well. Their first 24 games, they had their moments, including bowling USA 8 for 35, most famously, there at the TU in Kathmandu. But they had a real challenge then. They had some fallow periods. COVID kind of got in the way, and they were in that position with 12 games to go. Critically, 8 of them were going to be at home, and then the 4 in Dubai, whereby they could well have lost ODI status, and that was really the talk around the city. And then Monty Desai's arrival in January 2023 seems to have sparked the most prolific 18 months probably in the history of Nepali cricket. The story, the journey, and the pride with which they're playing is remarkable. It has brought increased expectations. It's also brought about probably a scale of fanaticism that even from Nepal cricket standards, which are by far the best supported associate side in the world, it's gone to a completely another level. I don't know if you saw the footage in Kathmandu of the first T20 World Cup game being beamed back there.
I did.
200,000 or 300,000 people there in the main park in the city. The passion is just quite simply awe-inspiring. And look, there has to be some reality within that.
Right.
But Paris Kadka, who's come in and done an amazing job with the board, the former captain, he's now the secretary of the board. They're playing more cricket than they ever have. Are they going to be able to dominate associate cricket? That's which is their stated aim.
Yeah.
I'm not so certain because associate cricket is so competitive.
Correct.
But I still think they're an exceptionally good team, and I think they should definitely be targeting the top four in that league. But to really start to press their case towards test status and bigger things in the future, they'll probably need to start dominating those leagues and starting to beat full members. They've never beaten a full member in an ODI or a T20I, not yet.
They were very, very close to doing that in World Cup, South Africa game.
And Bangladesh, and
Bangladesh.
They didn't get the opportunity against Sri Lanka because of the rain in Florida. But I thought some Nepal fans have looked at that game against South Africa. I understand they were heartbroken, and some are going, "Oh, this is terrible." That was an exceptional performance. A side that, if it wasn't for what Jasprit Bumrah and what India did, would have been unbeaten throughout the tournament.
True.
They would have been pushed closer than anyone in the world. It would have been Nepal that would have pushed them closer. So, look, I think they are such a brilliant young side. I love their attitude. One of the things that maybe did surprise me a tiny bit at the World Cup, they didn't field as well as I know they can.
Right.
But again, part of that's coping with the pressure of the bigger stage.
True.
And when you go from, even though they are used to playing in front of huge crowds, because that's what you get in Nepal, it's different when you go to a World Cup. You've got a 32 camera world-class broadcast that's going all around the world. You've got the additional pressure of international media asking you questions. So that's all about learning. I think, if I'm correct, it was the youngest side in the World Cup.
Yeah, right.
From an average age point of view. It's all
Also
part
the
of
youngest captain.
throw a Powdle. So it's all part of the journey. It's all part of the process, and there has to be. I know it's difficult to manage those expectations of the fans. Something that Monty Desai has been very big on, but there has to be the reality that it was actually a really, really good World Cup performance. They lost a critical toss against the Netherlands after a heavy thunderstorm in the morning in Grand Prairie, and they still nearly won that game. In fact, if Powdle had taken the catch down a long off, they may well have won it.
Right.
And I don't think I've ever seen Rod Powdle drop a catch before. He's an exceptional fielder. So they were very good there, maybe not at their best with the bat. They were so brilliant against South Africa. And then with the ball, they were brilliant against Bangladesh. And again, if it wasn't for that 10th wicket partnership, they probably would have won that game. So I can understand the frustration, but I guess for Nepal fans, you just got to stick with the team. They are an exceptional, brilliant, they're wonderful culture amongst the boys, wonderful group of kids. Stick with them. They're going to keep getting better and better.
Okay. Oh, so I'll come back to the first question again, because I think we went in the flow and we missed the Sandeep Lamichhane part. Yeah. So he is coming in this second cycle. How important, how crucial this is for Nepal? How important is going to be knowing the situation of Canada?
Yeah, look, Sandeep is a world-class bowler. He really is, and it's been well publicised, the trials and tribulations he's been through. The great news for all cricket fans and for Sandeep, who I can only imagine the difficulty of the roller coaster of the journey that he has been through, is that he's been found completely innocent and he's free to play. He wasn't able to get into USA for visa reasons, and I know again some Nepal fans are frustrated with that, but it's stuff I can't even comment on. I'm a cricket man. I'm not a legal or political man at all. I never have been. He's there in Canada. He was playing the GT20 there. I thought the way in which he bowled against South Africa and Bangladesh was truly remarkable, particularly given the paucity of cricket that he had played. One of the things, I was a leggy myself, and often talk to him about wrist spin, and I love all cricket, but I love wrist spin. It's so special. It's the hardest thing we have in our sport. And often you'll know as a wrist spinner, if the ball is coming out well, it will immediately start to curve because of the scale of revolutions that you've got on the ball and the particular angle of the release point. And I thought the curve that he was getting, so you call it drift or curve, but the curve that he was getting through the air from his immediate release made it look to me as though he's bowling as well as he's ever bowled. And he was close to unplayable at points against South Africa and Bangladesh.
He was eager to perform.
Yeah, there would have been the mental side, of course, but I just thought from the technical aspect of the way the ball and the way in which the ball was coming out, yes, the pitches were helpful in St. Vincent, absolutely, but yeah, at any international level, he's a threat. At the Cricket World Cup League 2, he played almost all of the first edition. He did miss the 4 games when he couldn't get to Dubai, but he played in the 8 of the 12 matches on that run last February and March. So is he a boost for Nepal when he's available? Yeah. Of course he is. He's one of the best bowlers in the world in the associate game. He's one of the best. I think he's one of the best leg spinners in the world. Full stop. And going to be really interesting to see how
the condition of Toronto, the condition of the pitch that Nepal is going to play in. How is it? I mean, I've never been there, but you have been there.
Yeah, I was there for Cricket World Cup Challenge League. I think that was last year. Was it? Either last year or the year before. It's challenging. King City's challenging. We saw the scores in Brampton, which is a different venue for the GT20. Were very low. It's autumn in very far north in North America. If you've got 2 devices and you're watching this, have a look at your globe. See how far north in Toronto is. It's a long way north. Okay, and it will be challenging. I don't think they'll be high scoring at that time of year. They usually play an awful lot of cricket in King City too. There's actually six grounds there, only 2 international, but 6 grounds at that venue. A lot of the domestic cricket's played there. I wouldn't expect hugely high scores, but the games are so important for Nepal because I'll be honest, I think Oman could struggle in this cycle. I think they've got an ageing team, and certainly from what I saw there in Dundee, their series against Scotland and Namibia, really going to be difficult for them. They always find a way. Duleep Mendes always does manage, like Zishan Maksud and Akib Ilyas are 2 of my favourite players. Bilal Khan is still world class, but they don't have many young players coming through. They're going to find it tough. Canada have their problems right now as well. So for Nepal, who've struggled away from home, I think they've got to be thinking about 3 wins from 4 there in the Cricket World Cup League 2 games.
Also, they're going fresh. They have not played any ODI. Recently, they went to Sri Lanka for the practice games, but then again, rain ruined everything. Just 1 match, and the Kushal, thankfully, he performed. Yep. But then again, to his standard, I mean, he's still far. He's not in that touch, right?
Yeah, look, for Kushal Bertel, it's been a difficult 12 months after, like the way in which he burst onto the international scene, particularly in T20s, was always going to be hard to sustain that level of performance. Is he still one of the best batters Nepal have? Absolutely. And look, his part-time leg spin has become a real asset. Right. People always talk about Dipender Singh Ari in terms of the quality of his fielding. Me in particular, there is no cricketer in the world I prefer watching than Dipender Singh Ari. He does everything at a million miles an hour. He's so brilliant to watch. But Kushal Bertel is an outstanding fielder.
I remember that catch.
He's taken many.
Yeah, running away from the ball.
Yeah, that was the Cricket World Cup qualifier in Zimbabwe last year. I was lucky enough to be on call for that. I can actually see it now at the Harare Sports Club, him running away and leaping through the air. But they do everything with such intent, with such passion, such togetherness. And so much of that has been down to a real change in mindset. You look at the team 10, 12 years ago, the legends of the game of Nepal, your Sharad Vasakars, one of my favourites of all time, Shakti Gauchan, your guy Nandra Malas, your Basanta Regmis, these guys. I'll be honest with you, they were a different kind of athlete. Mm-hmm. They were nowhere near as fit as the boys are now. Right. I hope they won't mind me saying that. I think they'll admit it. And the focus on strength and conditioning that the modern side has is what is driving them towards the style of cricket and the quality of cricket that they can play. They didn't show it at the World Cup, but I think they're one of the best fielding teams in the world. And when they bring that intensity and energy to their game, which Monty Desai has driven into them, they're just brilliant to watch. They really are.
Okay, so the pitch in Canada, I'm coming to that point once again because I really want to know about the pitch. Is it spin friendly? Do we have a green top? How is it out there?
It'll turn, yeah.
Which means it's going to be advantage for Nepal because we have Kushal Patel, we have Sandeep, we have Dipendra, we have Rohit. A lot of bowlers, a lot of spin bowlers.
Yeah, their spin options are outrageous. Really, they like you didn't even mention Lalit Rajbanshi there, who not at all. Who for me is during the period when Sandeep was away, very much had to assume the mantle of the senior spinner and did so very well. I think it will turn. I haven't seen the surfaces they're on yet, and because they have multiple grounds there, I can't really tell you too much more detail exactly. But September, that time of year, there'll have been a lot of cricket throughout the season there. I would imagine it'll turn. I wouldn't imagine high-scoring games, but hopefully I'll be proven wrong.
Okay, how do you see Nepal going unprepared? When I'm saying unprepared, they've not played ODI cricket from quite some time now.
Look, it's just the reality of having qualified for the World Cup. There was a big focus on the T20s, and rightly so. They did play the 4 ODIs in February. And look, I know, again, some fans were frustrated with Sri Lanka, but, you know, you've got to give credit to the board for trying to get them some preparation. You know, they've got a good relationship with Sri Lanka Cricket. They got an invitation to go there. They had a very good opposition. By all accounts, the depth in Sri Lankan cricket is still there. You can't predict that you wouldn't have been able to get the games in. And now what they've got coming up is really a couple of months in North America. So they've got the 6 ODIs in the whole series, 4 for Nepal. So 6 ODIs, 6 T20s in Canada. And then the talk, I believe, is there'll be some T20s before the ODI series that will be against Scotland and USA. And that, again, probably giving away too many exclusives here, but I believe that's going to be in Texas. Florida would be the other option, but Texas in the United States in October. So I would imagine that, you know, the next 2 months is going to be full of action, and then all eyes set on the new Nepal Premier League.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, it's good that you mentioned Nepal Premier League, because I was about to come there. It's been long that we have been listening about this NPL, but then finally it's happening. We saw the auction of the owners, and then now we are moving towards the player auction. Most probably that by the end of this month. How are you looking at it?
Look, there's been a great tradition of franchise cricket in Nepal. There's been a number of them. Unlike other countries, you know, might have only ever had one league. There's been probably 4 or 5 different quite high-level leagues there. I think the concept with the Nepal Premier League is finally to get the board complete ownership of it, and you know, try to work with all of the teams have to be majority Nepal owned, and all 8 have been bought. There's significant interest. You saw the gala launch of just the logo, the best part of 1,000 people at the Salti there in Kathmandu, and you know, the appetite for cricket is phenomenal. There's been a lot of talk about the floodlights maybe going into the TU. They're not. I don't think construction started on them yet. But if they, and again, that might not be for season 1. But could you imagine a point in season 2 where you've got a floodlit ground, you can play a double headers, let's say a 1:30 or maybe a 2 p.m. game and a 7 p.m. game into prime time across all of Nepal, 32, 33 million people across the country. Beaming into prime time in India, the potential is maybe unlike any other country, certainly any other associate country, but even including some full members, because what you will almost guarantee there is full houses and passion from fans. And look, I think they've selected the 8 cities really well. It captures a good kind of cross section of the whole country from east to west. It's a very narrow country. And the proof's going to be in the pudding now as to how the cricket is and the quality of it. Eventually, it would be great to have more than one venue. You know, I don't think they're planning to use the Mulpani for this, but, you know, get down to that incredible extra tech oval down in Barawa. That could be, you know, the second venue, which is a great development.
Recently, we started talking about that as well.
Yeah, they're doing serious work down there. But, you know, for a league to prosper, it's not going to tick every box in year 1. It's not. But to get it up and running, all the initial indications are really positive, aren't they? They seem to have run the processes really professionally. And yeah, look, I'm really hopeful that it'll be a great success.
Yeah, and the move to involve 8 teams is like a massive thing, because we were thinking about 6 teams, but then 8 teams, or 5, but 8 teams like a massive step.
Yeah, and from my experience of domestic cricket within Nepal, I do think there's a broader depth than some people may think. You know, I think of the likes of a young Tul Bahadur Thapa, who's a left-arm wrist spinner. Again, I love my wrist spinners, so I always watch them. You know, Mausam Dakal, who's another wrist spinner. It's like you don't want to weaken or dilute the product, but you also want to give a lot of opportunity to domestic players. Nepal's not like another country, and I say that with respect to a Namibia or a Netherlands, or even, well, Scotland's got a bit more depth, but let's say a Namibia or Netherlands. Okay. If you went with 8 franchise teams there, that would mean, so let's say you have 4, maybe 5 overseas players per 11, you would still need 10 or 12 per squad of local players.
It's like
100 local.
It's like 8, 7, 56 playing every day.
Yeah, but even in the squad, let's look at the squads, you're probably talking about 100 local players. I don't think you'd physically have that in Namibia.
Right.
They're picking their senior squad from 25, 30 players tops.
Right.
Netherlands isn't that different. And they're 2 of the best associate sides there are. But there's so much cricket in Nepal. There's so many academies right the way across the country, particularly down towards Barawa and Bir Gunj, down in the Terai region, down in the south, near the border of India, where it comes flat after the Himalayas come down. There's so much cricket there, and there's so much quality there that, you know, I actually think going to 8 teams right from the off, there's a lot of benefits to it, and it also gives you kind of the additional, if you just have 6 teams, you all play each other once, it's quite a short league. I think with 8 teams, play each other once, it's a really nice number.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we have already had an idea how it is going to turn out to be and how this NPL is going to benefit Nepal. But then I really want to know about that one player you think going to be like crazy in terms of money, the costliest player you think after Sandeep Lamichhane.
Yeah, Sandeep is obviously.
Yes, that's why I mentioned after Sandeep Lamichhane. Who do you think?
Look, it's really hard to look past Dipender Singh Airi in terms of what he'll bring to a franchise. I'd imagine the national captain role, Powell, will be in big demand. Kushal Malla, with his X factor, his big hitting, and then you've got legends like Sampal Kami and Karen KC who will bring a lot of, I guess, fan following to a franchise. It's going to be fascinating to see how they kind of spread it out. I'd love to see, like what we saw in Major League Cricket, which I commented on this year, which I think is such a brilliant initiative for America, and you can see the progress that's making for American cricket. I think without Major League Cricket in 2023, there is no way USA would end up doing what they did at the T20 World Cup qualifying for the Super 8. There's a serious correlation. So hopefully the same will be applicable for Nepal. But one of the things in Major League Cricket is all of the teams, barring one, all were captained by foreign players. I would love to see, because it's a really good thing to get leadership from within Nepal. I'd love to see at least a majority of the teams captained by locals, at least 5 or 6 of them. And I think you do have that depth of leadership. The likes of Sampal Kami is a very experienced character. Obviously, Rod Powell will captain one of the teams. But even someone like an Asif Sheikh, I'd like to see him step up into kind of a leadership role. He's a very good speaker. He's a Spirit of Cricket Award winner. He's a good young leader. So Dev Canal was an outstanding captain of that 19s World Cup.
But Dev Canal, he's not involved in this
travelling reserve.
Travelling reserve. How do you say of that?
Look, he's been a bit unlucky. There's probably 5 or 6 guys who've been a bit unlucky, and that's again the reality of the depth of Nepali cricket, and what I will hope we'll see now through this NPL. I know it's just in the T20 format, but then we'll go on to the domestic competitions, the PM Cup, the Mayor's Cup. We'll get to see players play in the 50-over format, and what we have seen the selectors do is reward that domestic form. So, someone like Surya Tamang, I'd love to see him play a bit more. He did get an injury, which was unfortunate. He was leading wicket taker in the 50-over competition there last January. He was straight into the squad for February. So it's not like there's not a pathway now. And that's actually, again, what Paris Kadka, since he's come in, has done really well. It's not just been about the national team getting more games. They're getting loads more games. But it's about actually broadening the base and giving opportunity, because there's so much popularity to cricket there in Nepal.
Okay, so we are looking forward to NPL, and I'll close this interview with last question. In this League 2, CWC L2, who is that one player you're looking forward to?
In this series coming up in Canada?
Yeah, who can turn things up for Nepal?
They need someone to score runs.
True.
They really do. And who that's going to be, I don't know. I think if you look at the makeup of the other sides, there isn't a huge amount of express pace. Kalim San is a world-class bowler for Canada, and Bilal Khan is as well. San is probably the quickest. Dylan Hayliger, Jeremy Gordon can get it up on their day. But you would think the left-handers are going to be important. I've got a real soft spot for Kushal Malla. I think he's precociously talented. I think by his own admission, he probably hasn't got the weight of runs that he would have liked since making that breakthrough century in ODI cricket against Oman. And I loved that. Of all the commentary I've ever done, that was probably one of my favourite moments. I remember early in his innings, I stood up. I don't know what, you often will sit down, sometimes you stand, but I stood up early in that innings. I never sat back down because it was electric. I think Nepal were 30 for 4 or 40 for 4, and he hit a 60-odd ball 100. It was, it was so flamboyant and reminiscent of someone who he spent time with as a mentor in that Pakistan Youth League, of Sir Viv Richards. There's a swagger to it, and my favourite anecdote from that was he didn't take his helmet off when he got to the 100. He just smiled shyly at the crowd, and I asked him in the post-match, you've made 100, or might have been off air, why didn't you take your helmet off? And he goes, oh well, if I celebrate too hard, they'll think I'll only ever make one. I want to make lots for Nepal. So look, he's a special kid, and again, I've seen some social media messages going, oh, he should have been dropped. Monty Desai knows how good he is, and I don't know which for the 2 formats it'll be in. His more natural format's probably the T20s, but I hope he'll have a really good tour. Keep rising, Kushal Malla.
Okay, thank you so much, Andrew. Listening you from the commentary box and then sitting here right next to you and talking about cricket, especially about Nepal cricket, looking at how they are growing and how they're working on it. I mean, yes, looking and watching Nepal play is amazing, but listening you talk about Nepal is again the same, as good as watching them play.
That's far too kind. And yeah, look, I'm sure you're going to get lots of people from Nepal watching this. So just want to say a quick dandavad to all of them and Jai Nepal, wishing them all the best in September. Thanks so much. Nice
Thank you.
chatting to you.
Thank you so much. It was nice
Cheers.
chatting.
Cheers.
Cheers.